And the reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us.
What an amazing liar. I'm serious. I'm convinced by that. He's sitting here, the reservoirs, we got some that were full, and then goes later on in that same interview to say that that some of them wasn't. Hold on, I would say exactly what it. Later in the interview, he admitted that the reservoir was not filled and that he would be looking into it. I'm gonna make sure I get it correctly, okay? This guy, oh my gosh, typical Democrat behavior at this point. Now, Trump is Gavin Newsom's worst nightmare, and he responded furiously about the situation that's happening right now. But he actually warned Gavin Newsom about this a while ago. Now, Gavin Newsom is out here like, oh man, I reached out to Trump and he ain't pulling up, woo, woo, woo. But Trump is sitting back like, dude, didn't we have this conversation? Like, for real, didn't we talk about this? Right now, we should be talking about solutions. But what is the solution? Trump definitely has some fiery words on this for sure, so stay tuned. Next, I want to dive into this clip, extending what Gavin Newsom's interview was in the beginning, where he accuses Trump of spreading mis and disinformation about empty reservoirs during the Los Angeles wildfires.
President-elect Trump has blamed you for this crisis. He called you incompetent. What's your response?
Well, I called for...
By the way, don't that look like a green screen? I'm sorry, that looked like real green screen behavior. Like, it's one thing for the camera to be focused on you and you to be in focus and everything to be... I could be wrong. I'm just saying, though. I can't believe nothing this man do right now.
President-elect Trump has blamed you for this crisis. He called you incompetent. What's your response?
Well, I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist.
Well, how does that was not a response? Like, you didn't agree or disagree.
Spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist. He's the president-elect. I respect the office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement, all the resources you could hope for or imagine, constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the president-elect.
Of course you want to extend that because you don't want him to extend his investigation into your ass.
I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt and reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them.
It's an insult to call, we know Trump is Trump, but I'm saying it's an insult to call it like it is. That's an insult to actually tell the truth.
I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
Oh, now you're trying to frame it as this is this is me versus Trump. Trump is trying to... These people. Nah, it's Trump's fault.
You do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
Okay, well, let's talk about fact here. There was no water because Gavin Newsom released the water into the Pacific Ocean. Oh, I said specific. I've been saying this since I was a kid. Pacific Ocean to save 3 fish. 3, 3 fish, man. 3 fish. Fish lives matter, but 3 fish. 3 fish, bro. Oh man, we've seen the aftermath of these wildfires, reoccurring issue in California. And obviously I just criticized this response because what's the I'm still trying to figure out what's the reality of this situation. That clip behind him showed the devastation, and it's not hard to feel that people are affected by this. But when he speaks, you just question yourself, like, where's the proactive leadership? There's none there. And on top of that, the question I pose is, what did Trump suggest as a solution to these wildfires? Let's take a look at his approach.
Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to have millions of gallons a week, a day, millions and millions of gallons come down from the north. And I was able to get him federal approval from that, from the Department of Commerce of all departments. I didn't realize it would go through Commerce. I would have thought environmental, but it goes through Commerce. I got all of the approvals, and he said, I don't want to sign it. I don't want the water. We don't need the water. I said, you need the water. Your reservoirs are empty, the whole place. You need the water. That was 5 years ago. And I had it all done. The work was all done.
More than enough time. More than enough time to have this prevented.
We sent it to him. He refused to sign it. And if you notice yesterday, the hydrants were empty. They didn't have any water, many of them. They said 20%, but now I just heard 50%, and now none of them have water, and that fire is still raging. When he turned that down, I was going to give him unlimited water. It would come down. It really comes down from the north, way up north, including parts of Canada. It's so much water that they wouldn't know what to do with. Just the opposite would have happened. And that's the reason that this happened. He wouldn't do what we wanted. And we're going to force that upon him now. But it's very late, because I think it's one of the great catastrophes in the history of our nation. This is not just in Los Angeles. I've never seen anything like that, devastation. And we're talking about homes that cost $200, $300, $400 million. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. People that and very influential people worldwide. I don't know that they ever go back either, because they weren't happy with California. They weren't happy with Gavin Newsom. They weren't happy with their whole lifestyle there, with the crime being out of control, all the other problems. They were not happy. And it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not they're going to build, or whether somebody else is going to build and build a much lesser home. These were the most expensive homes outside of Palm Beach County. I see a list outside of Palm Beach. These were the most expensive homes anywhere in the world. And I think a lot of them are just not going to go back and build it. Plus, they don't want to be part of a construction site. They don't want to, they're building a home, another one's building, they're building in front of them, behind them, alongside of them. So I think it's a tragedy. I think it's an incredible tragedy. It's also a tragedy for a tax base. And the governors know exactly what I'm talking. And I'd like to hear anybody talk about that. But if you're the governor of a state and you lost thousands of very rich people that were paying a lot of taxes and weren't happy about it, and weren't happy about what's happened to California, which has all the advantages of greatness, but they've had horrible politicians. I think that Gavin is largely incompetent, and I think the mayor is largely incompetent, and probably both of them are just stone cold incompetent. What they've done is terrible.
So, as you can see, Donald Trump has actually been warning Gavin Newsom for years, and he just will not take any of the, take heed to any of it. Somebody said, I guarantee Newsom probably never called Trump. He wants to get in front of the camera and make Trump look bad. Now, I have to play the video for y'all that we finna get into. Obviously, wow, my fault. Had a brain fart in the middle of me trying to transition. Let me actually get back. Anyhow, talking about the next video, that comment definitely helped, get us there, because Gavin Newsom is now like, yo, Trump isn't returning my calls, and he's concerned that Trump will slash disaster funding to California. But didn't he just try to Trump-proof California? And Trump's been giving advice for years, but dog, he will not listen.
Cool reported with you back in 2018 after the Woolsey fire, when you came and visited with President Trump and then Governor Brown. I know you just put out a letter asking President-elect Trump to come here. What's your main message to him?
I'd like the President of the United States, at least the President-elect, to come and visit. The people out here, his lives have been completely torn apart. I want him to visit and understand the magnitude of this scope, what happened to the American people that happen to reside here in California. And it's with an open hand, not a closed fist. And I'm not interested in politicizing an event like this.
Obviously, we were reviewing this, and it's an extended clip. But come on, dog. I just have to say, dude, you've seen the video before this, right? So it's like, come on, bro. Like, you had all these warnings, and you did nothing. I don't want to hear it.
I like the banality of it. I don't like the inhumanity of that. I would like people to focus on a collaboration between the executive in Washington, D.C. and in the state of California to help rebuild a community that's been completely ravaged.
We know we've seen some public back and forth, but have you two talked about this?
No.
And have you reached out to him?
I just reached out today, specifically. Correct.
And he's not returning.
Alec, I just reached out to the President of the United States. We invited him to come here. I worked very well, as you know, you made that point as it relates to the Woolsey fire and the Camp Fire when we first met, ironically. We worked very well during COVID. And so that's my intention, has been from day one. We've said 100 times, open hand, not a closed fist. We're also not naive. And I think we have all the evidence in the world that bears fruit to the notion that we're not naive to prepare for a different reality, a radically different reality compared to what we just experienced in the last few days. Mm-hmm. You had a major disaster declaration that was done within 36 hours of this fire, which is extraordinary and unprecedented. You had 100% commitment on reimbursement for folks. You got a president that's just today is trying to figure out loose ends as it relates to significant work we do on infrastructure and parks and playgrounds and schools. And that will be an announcement we hope we can make in a matter of hours. I'm not interested in the theater of political consternation. That's what he's interested in.
Cap, my guy, you like and enjoy every bit of it, Newscom. Why do you think you're on this campaign trail right now to try to revive your name and your reputation?
And I think it's pretty shameful, personally, but it shouldn't extend beyond this. I want to turn the page. I think everyone does.
And just to be clear, when you're talking about a president, now you're talking about President Biden, because we're going back and forth between the two presidents.
I'm talking about the current president of the United States that's done everything right without asking for anything in return, without leverage anything, with decency and respect to the people here in this community and to the.
They love to use the phrase decency and respect just because somebody call them out.
American people, and I think in the spirit of this country.
And just lastly on that, I know President Biden is trying to set this up where we get funding for the next 6 months. Are you concerned that President-elect Trump may try to stop that?
Well, you should be. We all should pass this prologue. So let's do everything in our power to avoid that. I mean, it's the idea that you had to ask that question, and I'm giving you a straight answer, and the answer is we should be concerned. It's obvious to anyone. So that's why we want to come out here. Do the right thing. I just want to move on. This is an emergency. We can do all this dance and we have differences of opinion as it relates to all kinds of issues and values and, and that's fair game. And that's important.
Bro, go get some water in those reservoirs, bro. Shut up. Like, please. What are we? Oh, they're talking. Oh, bro, all you doing is you doing exactly what you say you against. Literally, bro. You are hypocriting in real time.
That dialectic's important. But having this kind of friction when it comes to emergency response with emergency responders, these heroes, 12,000 that are on the front lines right now, taking care of people, making sure people are still alive. We're still doing emergency maintenance and evacuation. We're still concerned about flare-ups and spotting. You got kids right now that don't have money for baby formula, and we're trying to get them disaster assistance. You have folks in hotel rooms that have money only for tonight and don't know what's going to happen, haven't even had a chance to see their homes. Here it's standing or it's here and it's not standing. We want to get them emergency assistance over the course of the next 18 months. That's why I was with the FEMA director today. And that's what the president of the United States and I are talking about. And I'd like to have that conversation with the next president of the United States in a couple of weeks and not have this back and forth. That's rather childish from my perspective.
These are the same people. I vaguely understand the ramifications of it, but these are the same people, Newsom that is, who just held a meeting, an anti-Trump meeting, might I add, about what they need to do and prepare for once he get into office. And you want this guy to answer the phone for you, bro? Somebody said, so is the $25 million that the state of California allocated to resist Trump going to be nullified and used for disaster relief? They are such morons, the entire government of the state should be replaced. I guarantee Newsom probably never called Trump, though. I don't know why I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. We've seen the whole situation with Biden and how that took place. So I guess that's part of the reason why I'm gonna be like, I don't know. And then, Gavin Newsom actually said this at some point where he's accusing Trump of threatening first responders in California who are working to stop and recover from the fires.
Been pretty expressive about that in the context of someone threatening our first responders in terms of supporting the immediacy of their needs.
That's what you take it as, that President-elect Trump is threatening the first responders here.
Well, I mean, it's what he said. He said, I'm not going to support the firefighting efforts. I'm not going to support the state of California as it relates to its emergency management. He made this pretty clear during the election, unless they do my bidding.
As Big Fish pointed out, he's trying to tap into the TDS to deflect from their total failures. I totally 100% agree with that. This guy's on some psychopathic, lunatic, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs type situations. President Trump is not threatening first responders. He has great admiration for them and will always support them, okay? Newsom didn't have water for the first responders, okay, and the firefighters. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like, we ain't finna sit here and play this back and forth with that. JD Vance actually spoke on the Los Angeles fires today. He went on to Fox News, and what he posing, man, is just really not wrong. I'm trying to make sure I got everything I need before I actually click onto it. My bad, guys, my bad. California. I'm trying to make sure I got it all. My fault. Y'all should have had this together before I started the video. Okay, well, anyhow, let's just play the JD Vance video. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying to put out the fires, and there was a serious lack of competent governance in California. It's part of the reason why these fires have gotten so bad, according to JD Vance.
We have to do a better job. We need competent, good governance. Now, that doesn't mean you can't criticize the governor of California for, I think, some very bad decisions over a very long period of time. I mean, some of these reservoirs have been dry for 15, 20 years. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying to put out these fires. There is a serious lack of competent governance in California, and I think it's part of the reason why these fires have gotten so bad. We need to do a better job at both the state and federal level. So we have to do a better.
And not only that, y'all, the California Senator Adam Schiff, he lied and said that the reservoirs were full when the fires started. Nick Sorter noted that he's totally incapable of telling the truth, and that the Palisades Reservoir was confirmed to be completely empty, leaving the fire hydrants with little to no water pressure during the windiest month of the year. And he noted that Skiff is a disgrace as well. This is a lot, man. This is really a lot. What's gonna be the result of the failures on behalf of Gavin Newsom? What's next in this political saga is my question. We have to continue to see what the fallout between Trump and Newsom is. And we see that Trump delivered his message to Newsom a while ago. Newsom's governance is just horrible. He's somebody who's not fit to be in leadership, and that's proven that time and time again, especially with the fact that he had actual data to stop something like this or prevent the level of damage that it has definitely caused. I don't know, man. And he's doing a lot of deflecting right now. And Trump, we just need you to get back in that office, bro, so we can get stuff like this set straight.